And we're live.
Are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
Everything's on?
Well, I guess we're recording. I don't know if live is the right word.
All right.
Since
We got a camera here. We got the audio going. All right. Well,
yeah.
Welcome to Craft Conversations, where we craft conversation with influential, interesting, and fun guests from around town, and we talk a little bit about craft beer. We are your host, Brian Dales.
And I'm Caleb Choir.
And we're broadcasting live from the Craft Conversation Studios at the Dales Inn Garden and Pub.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah.
Right?
About time.
Yeah. Today we're going to explain what the show is about and give a little background on both of us and tell you who we are. But before we do that, I think we should open a beer.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I've been waiting for this all day.
Absolutely. So, here we go. Is this thing on?
Yeah, we're good.
All right, so today we're going to be drinking Barrel Aged Ten Fidy 2017. It's an Imperial Stout out of Colorado. One of my favorite beers. Caleb, you've never tried this, right?
I think I've had...
Maybe the regular version?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is Barrel Aged version. Comes out every year.
Definitely not the barrel aged.
No. Well, you're gonna enjoy this. So.
Oh, I'm quite excited.
Yeah. So we're gonna pour this one here. Try not to make a mess. It's our first pour of the broadcast season here.
It is.
I'll give that one to you.
Oh, that's very nice of you. Thank you.
I don't have any Oskar Blues glassware, or else I'd pour it in there. But we got some Joseph James out of Las Vegas. We got a stone glass there, out of Escondido, California. Proper glassware.
Yeah, I'm gonna set this here so everyone can get a nice, decent look at the body for a little bit.
Sounds good. This is 12.9% aged in bourbon barrels. First time I got turned on to this, actually, my little brother Kevin. When I went out to Vegas, I spent about 3 years there. My little brother moved in with us and stayed for a while, and he had these beers. I'd never tasted one before, and it was just phenomenal. And it was hard to find. We couldn't get it in Vegas. I think at the time we had to go all the way out to California to get this beer. And we did that a few times. And then my oldest son went to Flagstaff, Arizona, out to Northern Arizona University, and we found out that they had distribution out there in Flagstaff. So there's a good excuse for me to go visit my son in college, and I go out when the season happened, and when this release happens in the wintertime, I go out and pick up a case of the regular 1050, not the barrel-aged version, and bring it back, and we'd sit in the hot tub and just drink it on the cold winter nights in a nice 104-degree hot tub, sipping this beer. It's fantastic. Maybe a cigar. Yeah.
All in a hot tub? Hot tub will increase your ABV so much.
Oh, yeah. You get a little drunk a little faster.
I don't think that was the right way to say that. Increase your ABV?
Probably not the right way to say it, but it sounded good.
Intoxication level, maybe?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that'll work.
Maybe you get the blood flow going, so it kind of pumps through the blood a little bit faster. That alcohol gets to you and hits you faster. Little headache. We'd have to get out and sit on the side of the tub sometimes because, just got a little bit going on.
Ooh, cheers.
A little cheers.
Heck yeah, man.
Pilot episode, first episode.
First beer.
First beer. Man, that is just so rich.
Wow.
I mean, it's a dessert.
That is definitely dessert.
It's thick. It's got a great mouthfeel. I mean, the head on you couldn't see maybe when we first poured it. A nice little tight head on it. Smooth chocolate notes. I mean, you get some vanilla right up front. It's fantastic, right?
Yeah.
I think it's a good beer to start the podcast with.
Fuck yeah, dude. This is amazing.
Absolutely.
I love this.
Well, good.
And I honestly don't really remember what the first one tastes like so much. So this is...
Well, this is, I mean, it's not a lot different. And the thing I like about it is it's got a little bit of bitterness to it. I think the IBU maybe is like 75 IBUs, which is kind of unusual for a stout. It's got more bitterness than some. Mm-hmm. And I kind of enjoy that. I think it's something unique that a lot of people aren't doing, and that's why they got a good following that they do. But
well, it's nice, too, because it's got such a great sweetness to it, and a lot of the times it's almost too sweet.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I could handle a full pour of some of the Imperial stouts that I've tried before.
Right.
And the fact this one was aged only, concerned me a little bit more, but the bitterness really balances out.
Yeah, and I think the bourbon barrels are some of my favorites because of that. It's a good balance. You know, I really don't like a milk stout too much. I'll drink quite a few of them, but they're just too sweet. Like you said, they got that lactose in there, and it's just too much for me. I like to have that little hit of bourbon because I'm a whiskey guy, bourbon guy. Yeah, exactly. So with that said, we got the beer open. I know a lot of people have had questions about what this podcast is going to be about. The name Craft Conversations and even the logo that we have with the tulip glass and the microphone is maybe a little bit confusing to some. I think a lot of people have an expectation that this show is only about craft beer.
Yeah.
And it's really not. I mean, we're going to open up a craft beer at the beginning of every episode. If we have a guest, we're going to share that beer with the guest. We're going to discuss it. If we don't have a guest, we're still going to open a beer. We'll drink something ourselves. What we'll try to do is, depending on the guest, if they want to bring something with them, like say if it's somebody from a brewery or somebody from a local bar somewhere, if they got something that they enjoy that they want to come and share with us, we'd greatly appreciate it. And we'd be glad to drink their beer, but we're also going to try and provide the beers as well. So if somebody doesn't want to bring something, we'll pick something that maybe fits that person's style or personality. Or I don't know if you've seen Comedians in Cars with Coffee with Jerry Seinfeld, how he picks a vehicle. You haven't seen it?
Really? That fits the person that
he picks a classic vehicle every time.
The one with Jim Carrey.
Yeah, so he kind of picks a vehicle that matches that person's personality, whatever. So that's what we're going to try and do is match up a beer with the person unless they bring something with them. So we may drink one beer, we may drink two, we may drink a few beers, just depending on who the guest is and what we're feeling that day.
Yeah, I would like to say that this is not going to be a podcast where we're just sitting around getting drunk.
No.
Not at all my intention or Brian's, I feel. So
absolutely. Will it happen? Possibly.
Yeah,
I mean, if somebody's bringing a 12.9% beer and we got a tall boy right here between the two of us, I think it's going to hit us a little bit, but that's not the intent. The intent is to just forecast, showcase some beer, talk about it, and create a conversation, kind of get a little loose, and then we're going to see where the conversation goes from there, and that's the second part of the podcast. The second part is crafting a conversation with whoever's sitting in the chair in front of us here at the head of the table and trying to create something that's interesting, fun, energetic, authentic, educational, whatever. We're going to try and create something with that guest.
Yeah. I would really like everyone to get at least one laugh out of every podcast. I think that's important, to me at least.
And they're probably laughing already because we're stumbling a little bit. And this is all new, and this is our first broadcast. We got some notes here, but we're kind of just winging it off the cuff just to kind of give you a teaser of what to expect.
At least we don't have snowflakes falling in front of the video.
Right, so. Yeah. What he's referencing to. We watched Joe Rogan's. We love Joe Rogan. He's a great model to kind of groom ourselves after. That's not the right word.
I don't know. I think that fits. I wouldn't want to say base yourself because then you want to copy. But
yeah, we don't want to copy.
But
flattery is good. I mean, imitation is good, right? So he's got a great podcast. But we went back and watched his very first episode the other day, and it's amazing how far he's come. But also, what's amazing, I was telling Caleb, is the topics that he talks about today are still some of the topics he talked about back in 2009. So a lot of still relevant stuff, and he's still talking about the same things. But
that's probably why it still is so successful, because he is Joe Rogan.
Exactly.
It's not Joe Rogan trying to be somebody else.
Right. And he's kind of stayed. Exactly. He stayed Joe Rogan the entire time. Great podcast. But anyway, that's where the snowflake thing came from.
Yeah. Your loophole in there.
Right. What else? Who's going to be our first guest? You want to tell him?
Yeah, Mike Carcut. Mike Carcut.
Right. I'm assuming that's the way he says it. That's the way I say it.
Yeah, well,
I've never really said it to him, so I've never been corrected, so I don't know if that's the right way. We'll find out on when we record him on Monday. But
that's all right. I'll be an ass if that's the case. My last name is Quire, so people have messed that up my entire life.
Really?
Oh my gosh, Quirey?
Oh, Quirey, I got you.
My dad still gets angry when, telemarketers will call. I guess you probably don't get telemarketers much anymore with the cell phone. But they would call him we're looking for Mr. Quirey. He's like, are you kidding me? And then he just hangs up. It's great.
Yeah.
I love it. But
my last name is Dales, and I get Daly, I get Dale, I get Dallas for some reason.
Wow.
Yeah, I've had numerous things. And even my first name is Brian. It's not very hard, but in spelling, People will spell it brain. They switch the I and the A for some reason. It's happened ever since I was like in 3rd grade. Even teachers would do it. I'm like, no, my name is not Brain. It's Brian.
I would like to introduce my new co-host, Brain Dallas.
Brain Dallas. That's a good porn name, maybe. Brain Dallas. But anyway, so yeah, Mike Carcutt. He's the head chef and owner at Gray's Somerville. He's going to be on to talk to us about a little bit about how that happened, how he became a chef, and his life in general. And we've got some cool stuff to talk to him about.
Yeah, I'm excited.
We want to announce we're recording him on Monday, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so Monday he's going to be in the studio. We're going to record. And the first show is going to go
April 13th.
Up on April 13th.
Well, the next Friday, actually. So we're hoping to get...
Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a great
So not this Friday, next Friday. So yeah, it'll be 2 weeks over.
Because I'm hoping we can get some kind of cushion catching up with people just in case something happens. So we need to throw a filler in there.
Right. So
it should be easy.
Yeah, we've got 2 or 3 people scheduled. We've got hopefully some cool music coming. Do we want to talk about that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we've put it out there.
I mean, it's definitely something that we want to do, so we might as well mention it.
Yeah, we're going to have some music. Of course, every podcast has a catchy phrase, catchy music at the intro, maybe even throughout, sometimes at the end to kind of end the podcast. And we put it out to a lot of the local musicians here in town, quite a few of them, a good handful, even more, to try and come up with a good jingle for us, something that's catchy, something that's relevant, something that you guys will enjoy. So we're going to be thumbing through those things through our email eventually, and the next podcast you hear is going to have some music involved with it as well from a local musician. So that's going to be kind of cool. And I'm very excited for that. I'm very excited that people are excited about doing it for us.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
we've had incredible amount of support and help.
Incredible
so far.
Absolutely.
And blown away by the response that we have already received. It's very, not enriching. What's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know. Can't find words tonight for some reason. We're gonna have to get some dictionaries up here and some thesauruses and just try and get some cool words to come up with to make it interesting and switch it up so we're not using the same words all the time. But yeah,
what's the opposite of disheartening? Encouraging? Encouraging. It's very encouraging for all the support and like kind words that we've received so far.
Yeah, it seems like everywhere I go, whether it's at work, whether it's a grocery store, whether it's talking with family, friends. I mean, hell, I was even over in Arizona for a wedding. My oldest son got married this past Saturday, and just the response that I got when people were asking me, what I was doing these days for a living and whatever, and I started talking about the podcast, people were just enthralled by it. They were just very excited. They can't wait to listen. And I hope they tune in when we go live Friday the 13th, or even on this. We're going to air this one here in the next couple of days. Yeah. But yeah, the response has been great, and people have just been so giving. I mean, even the equipment we're talking about, we didn't buy any of this stuff. I mean, all this stuff has been donated to us. Maybe not Caleb's computer there, but everything else that you kind of see up here has been donated, manufactured by people from around town. We've had people come in and help. Do you want to mention some of the people that...
Yeah, I think first and foremost, Fleming should get the first thank you.
Fleming Moore, absolutely.
I remember sitting at Blackwater, and I was talking to Slayton Johnson about what equipment I would need to record so many mics at once, and he was sending me a list of equipment, and I'm looking at these prices thinking, how in the world are we going to pay for all this?
Right.
And this is before we even mentioned it to a lot of people in town. So I leaned over to Fleming, and I was like, hey, man, where do you think I can find something like this affordable? And right off the cuff, he's just like, oh, I have one. You can use it until you get one your own.
Right.
And from there, we just kind of, it's been a snowball effect. Joshua Jarman came in and helped set up all the stuff and helped me run through Audacity to learn how to, that was non-sponsored. Shout out there for Audacity.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that's pretty much what the majority of podcasters are using.
Yeah, but he helped set up. Richard definitely helped with the GoPro and stuff like that, which is nice. Richard Mallett. What else do we have?
I had a list here.
Trenton Nesbitt.
Trenton Nesbitt, he donated his microphone. We're not using it. We kind of went with a board and a different style microphone instead of the USB mic. It may come into play eventually. I still got it sitting over here. Trenton told me to hold on to it, so we're going to do that.
It's always better to be safe.
Yeah, it's better to have more than you need.
And he's also given me a lot of tips and suggestions when it comes to post-production, like where to put it, Like we're going to be using Podbean for a lot of Android users, something I didn't even think about.
I didn't even know there was a difference. I thought, well, I guess I should have thought about it. I mean, if we're talking about iTunes is iPhone.
Right.
So, but I thought that Android could use iTunes as well for as far as listening to podcasts.
I honestly
and stuff
don't
like that.
know. I've never tried.
Yeah.
Spotify, some people don't like Spotify, so he suggested Podbean for any Android users. But the thing is great, too.
Right.
There's a lot of intricacies that I didn't realize that he helped me out with. It's cool.
Right. And Fleming Moore, I mean, you mentioned Blackwater. So
I
what is
did.
this Blackwater?
You
want to talk about that? I mean, throw a shout out to him for.
Yeah. So Blackwater, we are using what's Mark's last name? Deshane's land out off 17, almost in the boondocks, but not quite. It's right across the street from Summer's Corner. And we are setting up on the 13th, actually, when the first episode goes live with Mike.
Okay.
Is when we start doing, I think, 7 to 10, right now at least. We'll do live music. I've got an art booth set up. Fleming is the one that kind of controls that. Mark usually sells food, and there's like food trucks, and it's a really big event. It's been just beyond amazing, right? It is so beautiful and peaceful out there that no matter what time, even when it's been raining outside, I have never been disappointed to go out there. So it's a great adventure. If you're local in town and you have time to go, it's going to be beautiful and you will not be sad.
Yeah, I've only been out a couple of times, but it's been phenomenal. I mean, it's continuing to grow. There's going to get more and more interest in it, and people once the buzz gets out. And I think the weather's turning now. We're getting back into spring. I think it's going to be a new season that's going to just really grow. But yeah, Fleming for sure has given us a lot for this podcast, and we thank him very much. We've already mentioned Josh Jarman. He's a local artist around town. We'll be having him on, right?
Oh, most definitely.
We got him scheduled. My other roommate, Tommy Altair, he helped us the other night. We did some testing and kind of did some mic levels and whatever. We recorded, 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 40 minutes or something of...
No, I think it was just shy of 2.
Just shy of 2?
Yeah.
I thought it was more than 2.
Was it more than 2?
I'm not sure. But we got some video of that. We got the audio. We may put some snippets of that out just for the heck of it because it was kind of interesting.
We got some golden tickets.
Yeah, there's some good material in there. So he helped us with some setup and some testing, and he gave us some input. Tommy's also a musician. He's going to be on with his band Blue Sphere.
Yep.
And Scotty Oliver Band. He kind of does a co-project with that guy. So we're going to have those guys on as well eventually. Who else here? I was talking about my parents. Give them a shout out. Why not? They're my parents. I mean, they kind of got me where I am today, but you can't see it right now. But when we set up for the first episode, we're going to have a few different camera angles going on besides just this one straight on. But this love seat back here behind was my my grandparents, and they've given that to me, so it's kind of become part of the decor up here in the studio.
Actually, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
But since we're filming this, I'll be able to throw up some videos on the YouTube feed. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll be able to see the studio pictures, and you'll know what couch we're talking about. And whatever Brian's about to say next, I'll show that on the video.
Yeah, and we've already posted some of these pictures. If you're following us on Instagram or Facebook, we got a YouTube channel coming up as well once we get some video to put up there. But if you're following us there already, you're going to see you're going to know what we're talking about. But the love seat's back here. Behind the guest, we've got a beautiful painting that Caleb fell in love with from my great-grandmother, Edna Stork. Mm-hmm. We got some carpet samples up here on the wall in a couple of different places trying to get some sound deadening in the room. So my parents gave me those as well, so that's kind of fun. My brother, my younger brother, Kevin, I want to thank him. He doesn't know it, but the rug that's underneath us, he gave to us. You probably can't see that on this video as well, but I think it kind of works. It's a nice little rug that adds a little accent to the area. So
I was staring at it today. It does a good job of hiding all of the cords under here.
Yeah.
I'm like, nice.
It's very nice. I got no socks on. It's nice and comfy on the feet.
Is that what I'm smelling?
Yeah, probably. So thank Kevin for the rug. And then the last shout out I probably want to give. We're probably going to miss some people, and I'm sorry if we do miss you. We'll get you eventually. We'll make some corrections if we missed anybody. But the refrigerator right behind Caleb here is one that used to be on my back porch. A coworker of mine that worked with me at a couple of different places, government contract job that I was doing, gave me this refrigerator, and now it's become part of the podcast. That's where we're going to hold the beer that we'll be drinking Hopefully plans for the future, maybe we'll have something a little more decorative that has a glass front. You can really see the beers on it. But for right now, this is a great fridge that's going to work for us. Now I just got to find something to put on the back porch again.
I got one more person.
Okay.
You. Thanks for doing this with me.
And you as well. I didn't know we were doing that.
Yeah, that was last minute. I realized that this would not have worked without you in it.
Well,
because I think we play off each other really well in conversations, and it's obviously going to improve as we get used to talking with other people. But we have always had great conversations, and I always like your viewpoints are different from mine, which is good.
Different from yours? I mean, I think we have a lot of similarities viewpoint-wise, but...
Okay, maybe your viewpoint perspective, that could be the exact same thing. I don't know. You tend to throw a curveball when I least expect it.
Okay.
And allows me to think differently. Yeah, we may agree on a lot of things, but at the same time, I don't ever go into a conversation thinking you're going to agree. I never know what the hell I'm going to get.
Right.
And so that's really neat.
Okay. I mean, that can be annoying, but it can be good, I guess, to give you a different viewpoint. And
I mean, I'm still here. We're making a business out of it, so
right.
I don't think it's annoying yet.
That's true. Do you want to give any background about yourself? I mean, I know we don't want to spend too much time on this. Where are we at right now, time-wise?
Well, this is where we at.
22 minutes?
Yeah, so we're still doing pretty good.
Yeah, we want to make this short and sweet and to the point. We don't want to kill everybody's time with our first test podcast. It's probably not the most interesting thing in the world.
I disagree, man. I think this is the most interesting thing in the world right now in this moment.
That's a good point.
Right?
Maybe I'm a little too negative.
Fuck it. So I have a background in art history, which sounds very vague when I say it out loud. I do a lot of watercolor, acrylic paintings, pet portraits are quite popular. I've got a South Carolina Art Nouveau style stuff that I'm pushing, some Somerville stuff. I have a website where I sell artwork. My craft beer history is mainly influenced by Brian Dale's, actually. I would go up to Homegrown, see Caleb Taylor quite often. I guess we should thank him. He's given me a few tips, to be honest with you. They helped. Him and Elena helped with the logo.
Well, that's true. They get some pointers on the logo.
Definitely.
Yeah, there's so many people we need to thank. We're going to miss a lot of people, but we'll eventually name everybody at some point or another.
Exactly. So it works while it's in mid-conversation.
Yeah.
But I would go up there, and I would never know what to drink. I'd sit down and say, hey, Caleb, I don't know, man, serve me beer. And he would just hand me stuff. Granted, he didn't always tell me what I was drinking, but I eventually figured it out, and I would ask Brian a lot of questions because you brew, so you have an actual deeper knowledge of beer, I think, than a lot of people. And so it slowly grew, and I have continued to drink more craft beers, and I've fallen in love a little bit. It's a sweet paradise when you have something that you really enjoy drinking.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I've always wanted to be on a podcast or show. I was in a band for a while as a frontman, screaming Christian band. It was a great time. Right?
Yeah, we need to hear some of that.
Actually, I don't know. There used to be a video on YouTube. I don't know if it still is. We were called The Poet and the Priest.
I don't think they go away, do they? I mean, unless you get banned or something and they take you off.
Well, I think maybe the person who put it up took it down,
right?
Which is a possibility because it wasn't us. We never actually made a music video, and that's where I was going. That's what I was kind of most excited for, was being in a music video.
Yeah.
So this kind of plays along, I think. I've got a lot of, I make short films a lot, so they're all usually goofy.
I've seen some of them. They were fantastic. I mean...
Yeah, we can put links in the description if you're
I think people might enjoy it. They get a good insight into who Caleb Quire is.
Yeah.
Or maybe we don't want that.
No, I'm all about it. I'm all about it. Bring it on.
Yeah.
I have nothing to hide. So, yeah, I'm just really excited to get going. I really enjoy having good conversations with really passionate people. And a lot of people say that. And I'm obviously one of those people. But when someone gets really worked up about something they feel really deeply and can get really excited about, I then get also very excited about it.
Right. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, the people we've got lined up, what do we got lined up now? Or the people that we want on, we've got a list of 18 to 20 people at least, right?
Yeah, I think we're past 20.
From people around town, and we've already got 3 or 4 scheduled with firm dates to do some recording. So I think we're going to have that. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are really passionate about their business, their interest, their whatever, and it's going to show. I think and we're going to have some good conversations.
Oh,
which is why we're here, right?
Yeah, the whole point. We do this all the time for fun. So finally, we're just going to share it. There are a lot of times that I've had conversations, and the next day I'm like, oh, I was at the bar last night talking to this guy, and we talked about this.
Yeah.
I don't have to do that as much anymore. I can just say, hey, go listen to that.
Right.
Yeah, that sounds good. I think that is a decent synopsis of myself for now.
Okay. Well,
I also ran out of things to say.
Well, of course, I'm Brian Dales. Divorced. I was married for 20 years. I was in the Air Force for 21. I got 2 boys, 22 and 24. One just got married, like I mentioned earlier, this past weekend. Fantastic kids. Did 21 years in the Air Force in physical therapy and occupational therapy. Did a lot of management and stuff like that. Retired in 2013 out of Las Vegas, Nevada. I spent some time out in Anchorage, Alaska. I spent some time in Illinois, Iraq, Kuwait, Valdosta, Georgia. I was at Shaw Air Force Base in South Carolina. Quite a few places, but finished up in Las Vegas. And when I retired, couldn't really find any work there, so I moved back to Somerville. All my family is here. My parents, my brothers, aunts, uncles, whatever. My grandmother was still here before she passed a couple years ago. Got into government contracting and did that for about 3 years as a program manager for a project with the Marine Corps. And they tried to make me deploy again to Kuwait, and I said, no, I'm not interested in deploying anymore. I'm kind of not interested in this at all anymore. I'm not interested in the corporate world. I'm tired of the commutes. I'm tired of the traffic. I'm tired of the emails. I'm tired of the spreadsheets, the budgets, the meetings, sitting at a desk all day, wearing a suit. I just got tired of it all, and I dropped it all and decided to have fun with my life, and that's what I've been doing so far. What do you got on your mic over there?
Yes.
How did that happen? You got a hair in there.
Yeah, it was a mustache hair.
Oh, okay.
So
okay, I can see that.
I'm all up in it.
Get some distance on the mic. Couldn't have been Tommy's.
No, it's definitely mine.
But you switched these 2 mics the other day, right?
No.
Okay.
I think that just got on here from when we started this.
All right. So where was I? So I dropped all that, right?
Sorry.
No, that's fine. Left all the money behind and said, you know what? I'm going to have fun now. I'm going to have time for me. I've been working for the man and doing what the man told me all the time, and I'm going to do what I want to do at this point. So started pouring some beer and doing some different brewery jobs, working at a coffee shop, just doing whatever. I did some Uber driving for a little while. That was interesting, but a little too tedious and time consuming as well. I also have always wanted to start a podcast. I mean, I listen to them constantly. I don't even listen to music anymore, hardly. I'm always on a podcast. I ended up starting my own group on Facebook, the Keto Dojo. I got real big into ketogenics, lifestyle and diet and fitness. It's kind of my background, so that kind of was a natural progression for me. And I started a light blog on Facebook, the Dales' Thoughts from the Zen Garden.
I love that.
That's what I call this place, the Zen Garden. So I started kind of putting my thoughts out there and said, this could kind of be a thing, maybe start a blog or something like that. And then you and I talked about an idea, Tales from the Barstool. And I was going to, because let's admit it, I go out to the bars quite often. I'm at Homegrown all the time. I'm at a lot of the breweries. And it's just because I have a love of craft beer. And maybe I'm a little bit of an alcoholic, let's admit it. But it just seemed kind of a natural progression. Every time I went out, and I would come and talk to you about all the stuff that I would see at the breweries or whenever I was out, and I said, man, you should have heard this girl talking about this, or heard this guy, or I saw this guy with this outfit on. So there was always something cool and exciting that I saw when I was out and about. And I'm not really a social guy. When I go out, I kind of just sit back, I put my headphone in, listen to podcasts, and I just kind of observe what's going on. And just, there's some funny stuff you see out there. So my intent was at that point to start a Tales from the Barstool, stuff I'm seeing from the Barstool. And I think hopefully we're going to incorporate some of that stuff into the show.
Oh, yeah.
I want to put some Dale's thoughts in there, Caleb's thoughts as well, some Tales from Barstools. We'll talk some about fitness and ketogenics and some of that stuff too. We got some people coming on. They're going to talk about that stuff that have been very successful with it. I myself, just this morning, I'm down 46 pounds since I started this way of eating. So down from 232 to 186 this morning.
What?
Yeah, on the ketogenic
Wow.
diet and fasting as well. There's some other aspects to it. And I still work out, but I haven't worked out any differently than what I was before I started that way of eating. So I don't think the exercise is what's making a difference. It's the diet. It's 85 to 90% of it.
I can agree with that completely.
Yeah.
All throughout the late high school years and beginning of college, I worked out a lot and ate deplorable. I had the mentality is if I worked out a lot, I could eat whatever I wanted.
It's the same way.
And it never did I lose weight or look the way I wanted.
You just
never.
Stayed right where you were.
Yeah, I maintained because it was awful. So once I quit and I started really focusing on eating healthier, and obviously I am I am loosely following the ketogenic diet. I try and stick to very low carbs. I hate sugar, try to avoid sugar as much as possible. It's super addicting. Yeah. But I weighed myself the other day for the first time in years, and I weigh 150. It's the lowest in my entire life.
Really?
Since beginning of high school, probably. I was usually around 170, 175, all the way up to about 190 my sophomore year of college.
So that's a good thing? I mean, you like yourself at 150?
It scared me a little bit. I'm not going to lie. When I saw that number, I was like, whoa. Yeah. But, I mean, I feel great. Eating on a ketogenic diet gives me way less hunger. Like, I rarely am just starving for food. My energy level is balanced. I don't feel like I need to take a nap halfway through the day anymore, which is great.
Yeah.
I've been working out a lot in the mornings when you guys are still passed out. But it definitely backs up exactly what you just said. Like, I did not lose all this weight working out. I only started working out once I realized that I lost a bunch of weight and I wanted to get a little bit more meat on my bones.
Right. And I don't want to get into a huge conversation about ketogenics.
That's a rabbit hole.
Yeah, there's a couple guests that can come on. We're going to talk about that in depth. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. And same thing. It's not about really the weight loss. It's about the way I feel. I mean, I feel just way better than I have in years. Mm-hmm. And I agree wholeheartedly with you. You know, when I used to have that corporate job sitting at the desk all day, for an 8-hour day, I was comatose half of that day, just trying to stay awake. And I would have to constantly feed carbohydrates and sugars into my body and caffeine or whatever to stay awake. And then I would just crash again. I'd be dead asleep, just bobbing in my chair, watching, a PowerPoint that the company set out, or trying to work on a document, or do emails, or create a business plan or something. And I couldn't stay awake until I fed my freaking face again. And, I just grazed all throughout the day and just spiked that insulin. But again, that's another conversation for another day. But so where were we? I was talking about myself.
Yeah, and then I just kind of
chimed in. Yeah, that's really about it. That's where I am right now. Got together and put all these thoughts together, your thoughts, my thoughts, the thoughts from the Zen Garden, the Tales from a Bar Stool, your website, photography, drawing, artistry. We're just going to put it all together and put it into one grand avenue, which is this podcast.
Yeah, which we have already come up with several other side ideas from the grand project, which is crazy. Yeah. We've got plans for this.
Yep, more to come.
Absolutely.
More to come. This is just the beginning.
Very excited.
One thing I didn't do, and I think I meant to do that we didn't put on here, what I wanted to do was tell people how to get in touch with us. Some people might see this, they're not on the Instagram, they're not on the Facebook or whatever, but I wanted to kind of give out some websites, but we didn't write anything down. I know for one, we do have an email address. It's craftconversationspod, Pod, all together, one word, @gmail.com. So if anybody has any questions, comments, suggestions, we'd like to answer some of those questions on the podcast. We get emails and people got questions or concerns, shit they don't like, their grievances, whatever. We'll address those. Maybe not everyone. I mean, hopefully we're going to get tons of emails. We can't address them all, but I think as the show progresses, we'd like to try and answer some of those people.
Definitely. It would be really cool, too, if we announce who we're talking to next week, and maybe they can have a question for our guest to answer, which would be...
That's an excellent idea.
It could be quite interesting. It gives you a chance to ask someone you've always wanted to talk to, maybe a question that you never thought of, like if we have a brewer on from Frothy Beard or whatever, like, what's up with this? And they can like, oh, well, that's because we put this in that beer, which would be pretty neat.
That's a good idea. I didn't think about that.
As for the Facebook and Instagram, you can find us because it goes without saying. Just with our name, just type in Craft Conversations, and you'll be able to find us. Look for the logo. It should be pretty easy. Brian and I are both attached to those.
And speaking of logo, this is it here.
Yeah.
With the name Craft Conversations at the top. But that's what you're looking for as far as the
thumbnail. Same for YouTube. YouTube, type in Craft Conversations. You'll find us there. This video will be posted, so if you're watching this, you've already succeeded. Podbean, same thing. So if you're using an Android or you just like listening to podcasts from a different source than Spotify or iTunes, then you can just find us there.
Excellent.
I think that's all the avenues that we have right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about? That's all That's all I had in my notes. We thanked everybody. We talked about what we're all about. A little bit about craft beer up front, and then crafting conversations with a guest, hopefully, each week throughout. And that's the other thing. We're going to try and do it. We're going to do a weekly post every Friday.
Every Friday in the beginning. I foresee us getting very busy, so we may do 2 in the future per week, which would be really cool. Honestly, I'm not afraid of that. Bring it on.
Right. And most of them are going to be pre-recorded.
Yeah.
But we may try and do some live broadcasts as well, correct?
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding? Especially in September during Charleston Beer Week. I really want to have a live show during the
Right. And we'll try and get some remotes somewhere and do some stuff other than in the Craft Conversation studios.
Yeah.
We'll go out and about.
Maybe we just hit up the Zen Garden. Who knows?
The
sky's the limit right now, guys.
Yeah.
And girls. And non-specific binary.
Cisgenders, whatever all the prefixes are now.
Yeah. But melting pot.
Yeah. Everybody's somebody.
We're here to have conversations.
That's right. All right. Well, you want to wrap this up?
Yeah. We will.
Got more beer to drink. We'll drink that off air.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because there's definitely more in this container.
Well.
And we're going to do our first recording Monday, and we'll be back.
We'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.